Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Countdown to Patriots season. I mean, Red Sox Wrap 360. Alongside Bobby DeMuro, I'm Mike Conley. Bobby, where we can find you on the Twitter?
You guys can tweet me right now if you're watching this live or anytime this week at Bobby DeMuro. You can also hashtag. Do you know you have a hashtag on Twitter? Did I tell you that?
I do?
Yeah. Your hashtag is just Mike Conley. That's what they're doing now.
You sure that isn't the Memphis Grizzly?
You know, I never even thought. Yeah, there you go.
Is.
So if you hit that hashtag, you probably get a lot of basketball.
I'll probably have to do hashtag Mike Conley with no handle or something like that.
Like a 90-character hashtag?
You know? Well, like no handle meaning no.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that's like too long of a hashtag.
Probably so.
Yeah.
And another reason why I'm not on Twitter yet. But we're gonna work it out. We'll give myself a nickname or something. But how's everything with you, man?
Hey, Rockies won 2 out of 3 this weekend. I feel good.
Well, that's enough.
Red Sox, let me say this. Let me just depress you from the start.
Oh, boy.
I just want to touch again that 2 or 3 weeks ago, you and I bet.
Wow.
You said that the Red Sox were going to win 87 games this year. They are 50-62.
We got our work cut out for us.
It's not going to happen. They are tied for the worst record in the American League. If you can go from worst to 87 wins now, I will buy you 6 lunches.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just up the stakes. Now I'm getting odds. I like it.
You win 37 games in the next 7 weeks. Are you kidding me?
You know, that was in an optimistic time. And I'm optimistic Mike Conley since, 04, you know?
Yeah.
Pre-04 Mike Conley, I would have thrown the towel in about, 2 months ago.
I did. You should have joined me.
You did. Today was a nice game, though. Mr. JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr., proving that he might not be a 4A player and maybe he belongs in the bigs.
I still need to see him hit the ball consistently.
Yes.
What was he, 2 for his last 16 coming into today this week, or last 7 games or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's got tools. He's another one of those guys, but the question is with him, because Bogarts and Betts have sort of proven themselves, although they're very young. Brock Holt's still real young. Jackie Bradley Jr. has been up a couple times. So how much longer do you give him chances before you say, hey, he might not be a prospect. Hey, maybe we move him while we can still get something for him. He's a guy, I know this is crazy, but maybe he's a guy this winter gets moved. Because another team says he's young enough, maybe we can use him, maybe we can change something about his swing, his mechanics, whatever. And the Red Sox say, to be honest, we got to move him before everybody finds out he can't hack it.
Yeah, and I think him being one of the players they put on waivers this week too. They're obviously seeing if there is a market for him out there.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know where he has been such a light hitting guy if there is anybody out there, but there's gonna be teams that he's definitely a caliber of a 4th outfielder on a team, especially if you have a suspect center fielder, and you can bring him in at the end.
Yeah, but a guy like that with Jackie Bradley, my question is, he strikes out a lot. So let me look at this. Okay, so his year-to-date for Jackie Bradley, where is he? He's not even on our list here. Oh, yes, he is. 58 at-bats, 18 strikeouts this year. He's hitting 121, getting on base 25% of the time. That's a real small sample size.
And 4 ribbies, right? I think.
But on this season, yeah. But my issue with him is a guy like that who's fast, who's a 4th outfielder, you need him to put the ball in play and get on base. Some teams have 4th outfielders who hit home runs. National League teams, you might want him to pinch hit. It might be a little bit different. In the AL, I think you want a guy who gets on base, especially a center fielder. And if he doesn't do that, if he strikes out a lot, where's the value?
Yeah, no question. And that was kind of his MO in the minors.
Yeah.
He had a good OBP in the minors. It's just if he's able to transfer it over this year. And the Sox have given him opportunities, especially last year, the first 2 months of the season, which were pretty unbearable to watch him unless he was on defense. And then this year, unfortunately, it looks like his opportunity is going to be ending now that Mookie Betts is on the mend.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with Jackie Bradley. That's a guy who, to be honest about him and to see what he really does, you would like to give him, 250, 300 plate appearances? Let him play for 2 or 3 months? Well, you got to be on a real bad team to do that, or have a great lineup around him and just say he plays defense in center field, we're going to eat it, stick him in the 9 hole, let everybody else hit, whatever. The Red Sox aren't at a point to do that. They haven't blown it up. They're not going to win, 58 games next year. And they're not in a playoff race yet where they're so good they can afford the lineup thing. He doesn't have 250 plate appearances to get next season in a hypothetical 2016. And if you can't get the everyday plate appearances, what do you have? No wonder he's, 10 for 58, whatever, this season.
Well, he had 4 ribbies this season coming into today, but today he had 5. What's up?
Well,
and a sick Willie Mays-like catch in center field.
Let's not go that far.
I mean,
maybe it's
nice.
the start of something. Maybe he rips off, another good week. Or maybe it's the start of something bad. He rips off a great week. His stats, because of a small sample size, he ends up hitting, 220 this year. And you say, hey, Jackie Bradley took a step forward. Let's take a look at him. Forgetting that one good week caused him to hit 220. When you have that few at bats, that's the kind of crap that happens.
It's true. I mean, he didn't get quite 250 plate appearances last year, but he probably got 180. And
they were in chunks.
They gave him an opportunity.
It was 2 months, then he was down, then he came back. Like I'm saying, like a guy like that, you want to develop and see what you have. You want to play him every day for 2 months.
Well, they did that at the beginning of last year,
and
he just wasn't hitting his weight, so they had to send him down. And he's a light guy.
And this is the time, I think this winter's the time where that's the kind of guy who gets moved. Because maybe another team like the Phillies, they got a lot of young outfielders, but a team like that says, hey, young guy, outfielder, former high draft pick, great athlete, great defense. Maybe, so-and-so has a hitting coach who has seen video on this guy and says, if we do this one thing, it's going to change his whole swing. That happens a lot in baseball. It happens all the time. Maybe they move him.
They probably are going to move him, but they're not going to. I mean, it's like the old business major in me is saying, you buy low, sell high. And, this is an instance where we will be selling low on this kid, unless we sell him right now after his 5 RBI day.
Or my argument is this is the selling high. This winter would be selling high. If you let him play out another couple months next spring, I'm a pessimist, but I think it's going to get worse. Then you're going to get nothing for him. I think you sell high now while somebody might still think he's a prospect.
Yeah. Well, plus he also there is no place for him to play.
Yeah.
I mean, when Betts comes back, and Betts today, by the way, 2 for 4 at Portland with a home run and a single. So he's looking good. He's probably going to be back in the mix on Tuesday in Miami. So,
how bad do you think he wants to get out of that Eastern League? Have you seen the cities in that AA Eastern League? It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's New Britain. It's Trenton, New Jersey. It's Reading, Pennsylvania. It's Erie, Pennsylvania. There's some cities. Talk about old industrial towns where some of these guys, if you're rehabbing or if you're a prospect trying to go through pretty quickly, you got to get to Trenton and be like, oh God. Oof. Let's just hit 350, get the hell out of here.
I'm just going to apologize to all our many viewers in Trenton, New Britain, Erie, etc.
In Trenton, Harrisburg, Reading, y'all come talk to me. If you're really from there, you're agreeing with every word I'm saying.
Oh boy, but hey, he did something. But the thing is I think everybody and their mother would like, Hanley Ramirez to really take his time getting back from the sore foot and see what you have out there in an outfield of Bradley, Betts, and Castillo.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously, and you can mix Tiaza in there wherever you want, but that's an actual legitimate good defensive outfield, And when you put Hanram in there, we go from good to below average.
See, here's my question, because Fenway and Coors, where the Rockies play, are diametrically opposed outfields. And so this just, you triggered something in my brain.
Uh-oh.
The Rockies need a good defensive outfield because you have so much ground to cover. You need guys who can move and guys who have great arms. And the Rockies do okay. 2 out of 3 are good defenders. Their third everyday one, Corey Dickerson's pretty crappy. But he hits well. The Red Sox, Fenway's small. I know it's weird. I know the Green Monster's weird, but you can learn to play basic hops off that, assuming it doesn't hit something weird on the scoreboard. I don't think that for the Red Sox, a defensive outfield should be the focus. Even if you can get it, you might need a very good defensive center fielder. It gets weird in deep center out there. There's a lot of ground to cover. But in left and right, I think Fenway's one place you can really get away with subpar defensive guys if you go for hitters.
Negative. I can agree with that in left field wise. But right field is huge. It's one of the most expansive right fields in the league. I mean, it gets a bad rap because the pesky pose is like 299.
But it wraps around,
But then it jets out. And right center is one of the deep of right centers in the American League, you know?
Well, but that's something where if you had a really good center fielder, you say, how much ground can this guy cover? And do you shade him to right just a little bit? Because left is so damn small.
Well, I mean, that's what the Sox try and do now is like because right is so huge, they like to try and get center fielders to play right field. That's why bringing over a Victorino when they did that for him to man right. And he was a great defensive right fielder for us, you know? And I think Castillo can be that as well. It's just what makes me sick is like when Betts and Bradley are in there together, Bradley is a better center fielder than him. But it seems like just because we know Betts is like the second coming of Freddie Lynn, we just want to keep him in there. Why not make him a left fielder and he can be in that great lineage of, you know, Yaz, Rice,
this week,
Mike Greenwell.
This week, Mike Greenwell.
Well, you know,
this week,
series of 3.
They said that Hanley's not moving positions. Didn't they announce this week he's not going to do it?
Yeah.
So as long as that guy's under contract, you're not, you know, barring some weird injury or something, you're not going to see him move. So
that Cherrington did say that. He said the same thing about Sandoval. And, you know, I think people are kind of like jumping to conclusions a little bit like Sandoval. He's just having a funky year, you know? And the guy has the tools to be a good defensive third baseman. So to try and uproot him right now is ridiculous. But to think Hanram was going to be a good left fielder, even though he played infield his entire life, that's just is just foolish to think, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, he's horrible, but, you know, he's at best he's going to be as good as Manny was, you know? And we dealt with that because he could bat. But he's not hitting right now.
And that was the same thing with Cespedes, right?
Yeah.
When Cespedes is the kind of a guy who would play left field in Fenway because he's a terrible defender. Great arm, but he's a terrible defender. Maybe you stick him in right too because you want to take advantage of the arm. But the dude cannot play outfield.
We wanted him to play right field because of his cannon.
Because of the arm.
Yeah. And he said, no, I play left.
Yeah.
and so that got him shipped out of town.
That's a left fielder, and I know obviously he wasn't a fit there anyways, and y'all tried.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of left fielder. If it's a big bat, poor defense left fielder, and you got to wear it a la Manny Ramirez, as long as your next left fielder's not cutting off throws from center field like Manny Ramirez was, you know, there's a point you don't want to cross, but you can be pretty crappy in that outfield because it's so tiny. I think you can hide a guy there. That's one of the biggest, maybe most focal point outfields in all of baseball where you can hide a guy. You know, increasingly there's not many places like that, and left field in Boston's definitely one.
Yeah. So it was nice, a little win today. Henry Owens gets his first major league win. He's actually pitched pretty well in his 2 starts this week.
Yeah.
The bullpen kind of let him down and let that game get out of hand early in the week versus the Yankees. But, you know, before we get into this week in Red Sox baseball, another 2 hits for Poppy today. He's actually been on fire. Let me just give you a little Poppy love here, okay? He had in the last 50 games, dating back to June 11th, he has 17 home runs in 179 at-bats. Before that, in the first 52 games, he had 6 homers in 196.
Him and Carlos Gonzalez have had parallel seasons.
Yeah.
From June 1, Cargo's hit 21 homers. Cargo's the hottest guy in the league by far, bar none. Hit 2 more today. Yeah. I didn't realize Poppy was that close.
He is hot.
Wow.
He is hot right now. And, you know, I mean, it always comes back to the Rockies here when Bobby DeMuro's in the house.
Hey, listen, Cargo's the hottest guy in the league. He was a July Player of the Month.
That's National League. We're talking junior circuit.
I didn't understand that Poppy was that close.
He's hot.
My biggest thing in entering today, I don't know how much, if he struck out at all today, but entering today, last 7, 22 at-bats, 4 walks and 2 strikeouts. So talk about home runs and all that stuff. But that's my key when you're seeing the ball real well, even if you're not getting the hits and the outcome isn't quite there. But a veteran like Poppy, when you walk 4 times and, 26, 27 plate appearances and you strike out twice, you're right on. Yeah. You're right there, And he's never been a huge strikeout guy, but any power hitter's going to K.
Yeah. He K'd today, and he had one intentional walk. But he's always going to take the walks. The point is like, I mean, today he had the immortal Travis Shaw hit behind him. So maybe you get a little more aggressive at the plate. Although Shaw's been doing good lately, so I can't say that. But, when he's had Hanram behind him a lot, who basically hit until he bashed his shoulder into the sidewall in left field and hasn't really hit since.
Yeah.
So give him time to mend. Maybe that shoulder needs bending. He's out right now with the sore foot. He said the left foot hasn't been fractured. X-rays were negative. But, he says he's fouled the ball off that like 4 times this year. So let him mend. Let's see a good defensive outfield, for a few games here.
Where does he wear his pad on his foot? Every one of these guys has a pad. Does he have a shin guard?
It must not have that lowest section that goes over the foot.
Because that's the thing. Like, I feel like everybody who wears a pad, you get hit in the one part you're not padded.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you wear an elbow guard, you get hit high up on the shoulder or something. Like if you wear the shin guard, the ankle guard, you can get hit right on the toe.
Yeah. Maybe it's a case where he does have that, but it's kind of the same fit as his helmet, so it flies off with any single movement.
That happens a lot.
It does.
In the box, though, that'd be a problem.
Oh, man. So, I mean, not a bad week this week. 500 on the road for a team that, has been playing as poorly as they have. It's not bad. And they had some good pitching performances in the Bronx.
Look,
they could have got out of there with 2 out of 3.
Well, I would say phrase it this way: 500 on the road. The Tigers aren't good, but they're not terrible.
Yeah.
2 decent teams. The Yankees are going to be a playoff team, it looks like. Right. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Blue Jays
just
maybe
swept
not. But 2 decent teams, and of the 6 games you played this week, 2 of them were by a guy making his first 2 big league starts.
Right.
Prospect, don't care, doesn't matter. It's a guy who's never been in the big leagues before. You go 1-1 in his starts, 3-3 overall. He makes a third of your starts this week, and you go 3-3 on the road. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Look at it that way.
I like what I was seeing on him today. He was a little bit got in some hairy situations with the walks. He had 4 walks today. 3 of them let off an inning. So,
well, alternatively, 1 run, it never burns you.
Right.
Part of that's luck for sure, but part of that, does this guy bear down when he needs to? That's a good sign. Mm-hmm. He's really inefficient. He has been today. That's true of every young pitcher. Show me a young pitcher who's not inefficient, and I'll show you like a young Steven Strasburg or somebody who has even the next level of stuff. There's very few guys who can afford to be so efficient in their first couple starts.
Yeah.
So if I think Henry Owens for 10 innings now, 5 walks or something like that, couple runs, 3-4 runs. Yeah. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, he was looking for a similar line in his earliest start that last week. He went through 5 and only allowed a run, but then he let the first couple guys on in that 6th, and our tremendous bullpen kind of let those in.
Do you think, I believe 50 innings is the cutoff for rookie classification. You think he's going to hit 50 this year? He will not be a rookie next season? Or let me I guess give you the other option. I was thinking that once we hit September 1st and rosters expand, the Sox, like a lot of people, might go to a 6-man rotation or something and push him back a couple days here and there and let him throw once a week and slow him down.
I think you might see that because they're going to, rather than trying to preserve his rookie status or anything like that. It's just a total innings thing, and they just kind of keep their eye on these guys. They want to see them. They want to take a thorough look at all these lefties. Johnson, who's a little dinged right now. Eduardo, obviously, who's been great, and Owens, But the guy I am tremendously excited about after his best start of his career, Mr. Stephen Wright. The guy is sick. And I'll tell you what, that's 2 good starts in a row. And you know who had a little talking to him down at the bullpen before his second to last start?
Oh, God.
Who was it? Mr. Timmy Knucks himself, Timmy Wakefield. And he, just in that lineage of knuckleballers, just is passing gems down to young Mr. Stephen Wright. And this, you want an ace to emerge out of this young staff?
You really think so?
The knuckler.
Really?
I love it.
You really think
the
so?
Knuckler. Yeah, I mean, he was lights out in the Bronx, 8 innings, 9 Ks, 1 run.
All right.
They couldn't handle it.
He's going to end up with okay stats, 238 batting average against, 1.2 whip, pretty good for a starter. You look at starters with 1.2 whips, you're looking at some pretty, you're not looking at Kershaw, but that's next world. You're looking at some pretty solid starters. So he's going to end up doing okay. How about Joe Kelly? Throwing the ball much better this week.
Much better. Much better, but it seems like he will show flashes for 3 innings, and then the wheels come off, and he loses fastball command and leaves things out over the plate to the wrong hitters, and they hit him hard. And it's like that. It's kind of been a recipe for disaster for the Red Sox this year, because that's happened with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Kind of Miley did it the other day. He started out all right. I mean, he had Rajay Davis looking silly on his first 2 at bats. I think he K'd him twice, and then he had him 0-2, and the dude took him deep.
Yeah.
And that was a pivotal home run the other night. He was moving along pretty good.
Yeah, the 0-2 home run.
That was Saturday, I think.
The 0-2 home run is unconscionable.
No, yeah, exactly.
Unless it is a 10-0 game in the 8th inning, you're up 10-zip, and you're being efficient. He hits a home run, fine.
Yeah.
Almost any other situation, that 0-2 home run. Whew.
I mean, unless you throw a ball down and the dude has like Nomar Garciaparra plate coverage and he hits it off his shoe top.
It's Vladimir Guerrero.
Whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that was-
even then, like you want to get a guy on a front foot, even if he doesn't. And I know 0-2 is not an automatic ball. The people who think, oh, we'll throw one in the dirt, that's dumb too. You're literally wasting a pitch. Think about how many times you get 0-2 every game. If you're a starter, you're going to waste 10, 15 pitches a game doing that. But you got to make a better pitch than anything that catches plate. You want to be shin high and moving down. You want to be 3 inches off and moving away, something like that.
Right. I'd rather waste ball 1 in the dirt than have the batter waste 1 in the seats.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah. So the Yanks, I mean, we had some young kids pitching good in the Bronx, and the Tigers, we take 2 out of 3. How about Jose Iglesias, former Red Sox? Dusting it up a little bit in the dugout the other night.
Do you think one of them was Team Dombrowski and the other one was Team not Dombrowski?
As far as Iglesias and McCann?
Yeah. Do you think that they were fighting over the general? I mean, I'm kidding. They weren't doing it. But like, I
think they're both Dombrowski.
It happened pretty parallel, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was about that. I mean, it was just basically, it looked like he lollygagged after that bouncer up the middle,
Yeah.
And for all we hear about that kid McCann, is he's the next stud catcher, He's like, one of those guys that holds everybody to task. You see Bryce's tweet about him. He's he'll wear a C one day, just like Veritek.
Are you seeing tweets that I'm not seeing?
I read about the tweets, I think, in the newspaper. So old school, But, yeah.
Listen, so McCann, you just have to be careful when you're young like McCann. Baseball is a game of order and history and tradition, and we can upend it in a lot of different ways. Sabermetrics is a great example of upending the tradition of baseball. But there's still an underlying current of order. And when you disturb that, it's been disturbed. It gets disturbed every year. It gets disturbed in ways that don't, make it to television. So we never find out. It gets disturbed in the locker room all the time. But there is a place for everyone there. Yeah. So sometimes you gotta kind of wear it when you're young for a little while, and then you look back 2 and 3 years later. And most guys, when they get treated like crap when they're young, relatively in the game, they say, you know what? I'm not going to do that to the next crew of guys because I want to win. I don't care about this order as much. And it evolves. But if you're getting treated one way and whatever's going on, we don't know the whole story, obviously. But I would just say for a young guy like that, you got to be a little careful sometimes. Pick your spots, pick your battles. If you're going to do that, I'm cool with you doing that. Do it when you know there are no cameras around. Maybe that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Because it turns into, high drama. We're talking about it. We don't cover the Tigers. Who cares? But everybody wants to talk about that stuff because it's memorable and weird and kind of goofy and a little bit of a blooper and a total scandal.
Yeah. I kind of like the young kid. Ketcha's got to control everything, So if he lights somebody up, whether
so
it's
does,
down,
so does a shortstop, though.
Yeah. Well, Iglesias is young too. Somebody's got to get in him.
Yeah, he is. He's relatively young too.
So
maybe
he
that's
makes
the
an all-star
question.
team. Gets a big head.
Where's a Miguel Cabrera? Where's a Victor Martinez? Where's a guy like that? And maybe it's not their role, and maybe this happens behind their back anyways. But that's the top-down thing on this team is like who runs this team, and why do these two feel like they need to fight for that that leadership? They're jockeying for position. It's like, wait a second, there's plenty of tenured guys above you.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't see the Tigers night in and night out. I see them, a couple times a year.
Right.
So it could be a total relationship that we don't get.
I know one guy that doesn't run the Tigers, and that's Dave Dombrowski.
Oh.
And it's kind of odd, They should have just. But I got a question for you.
Yep.
Do we see him with the Red Sox?
With the Rockies, absolutely.
With the Rockies? No. I don't think you take that far a step down.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Things got really serious on here. I don't know.
Here's why I ask.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Lucchino, we didn't really touch upon it last week, but he stepped down.
Yeah.
And there's been kind of like different articles this week. Like, did he step down or is it because of the poor performance of the team? But I think he kind of stepped down. There's been talk of this for the past 3 or 4 years about him coming down, staying in a consulting capacity, but just taking over different responsibilities. But his like protege, this Sam Kennedy kid who's coming in, I like a young kid getting that, a hometown guy. He's a Brookline guy. So I like him stepping in there. But he said the other day that he's not going to be involved in like the team building. He's going to be do more organizational stuff. So does that mean more responsibility falls in Ben Cherington's lap? And does he really deserve such responsibility with recent acquisitions and performance? Or does that mean like a guy like Tom Warner makes more decisions than that? Because that hasn't really done well. He was kind of the guy that was behind bringing in Crawford and Gonzalez, you know, when we did that, and we all know where that went. You know? So, I mean, do you bring in a tenured guy, a guy that has a proven track record to come in as kind of that, I don't know, like co-president of team building?
The problem is, like, who would you get rid of on that list? Because all those guys have pretty integral roles, obviously, and all those guys, none of them have done anything. Maybe some Red Sox fans will disagree, but none of them have done anything super fireable yet. I don't look at Ben Cherington and say, "Oh, fire the guy, can him." It's like, nah, you got to give him a little bit of time.
Right.
If you're gonna do it, do it. But you gotta look at the long play with somebody like a general manager.
Yeah.
This isn't a player. This isn't an on-field manager. A general manager is a different time level.
Yeah.
So with any of those guys, any of those front office guys, how do you work? This is the same argument as Iglesias and McCann. How do you work the inner workings, the hierarchy, the order within there? And if Dombrowski's okay with whatever XYZ role he's got, and everybody knows exactly what is defined of them, sure. If you can negotiate that, and if he's interested, he's certainly a smart baseball guy. Nobody's questioning that.
Yeah.
But if he's a guy who comes in and says, well, I'm going to run the team, and Cherington says, no, you're not, I'm going to run the team, and whoever else says, no, you're not, I'm going to...
Right.
Forget it,
Right.
you know.
There was a lot of that with Lucchino, you know, going back and forth, and that's kind of why Theo left, because of button heads with Lucchino in the front office.
It's like having a newspaper almost. You got to have in a newspaper your business side and your editorial side ideally should be totally separated. You make separate decisions. It's like that in baseball. The organizational depth side, the minor leagues, are relatively separated from the big leagues. You need to know what's going on both sides, but the minor leagues have a separate plan than the big leagues do. And then the business side, the team, the organization has a separate plan. And once you get the owners bleeding in from the organization making money into the on-field decisions on the team, sometimes that turns out like Al Davis, you know, and the Raiders. That's the worst case scenario, but that's the kind of crap that comes up because owners don't know what they're doing. They think they do. That's why you hire general managers. That's why you hire front office guys.
And that's why you buy a soccer team, so you can go and mess that stuff up. All right?
Sure. And no one will know.
Yeah. Go handle that over there. I mean, although, I mean, who can do worse than they're doing this year? You know, you and I should put the club together next year.
You know what? I actually would love to put a baseball team together one year and just see what it does. And I'm the 1,000,000th person to say that. But I would love to put a team together one year just to see what happens. Because every team, you follow any team, and it's not big moves. I'm not saying, hey, Red Sox, here's the path to trade for Greinke and Kershaw and to sign David Price. It's not stupid video game stuff. It's like very small moves, couple of guys you look at saying, why don't they pick this guy up? They can get him cheap, and no one ever does it.
Yeah.
I would love to run a team for a year.
Right?
I'm telling you.
That would be the dream. So, did you happen to see who was DFA'd today? One Mr. Justin Masterson.
Are you serious?
Oh, yes, and his $9.5 million salary.
So what do you do with him? You're just gonna put him. You're just gonna eat it. I mean, at this point, you eat it. You're only eating what, a couple million?
I mean,
but
you kind of have to. I mean,
you don't think they'll work out a trade in the next 10 days?
Well, he was. I don't see. I mean, yeah, I guess if you decide to eat most of the contract anyway.
Yeah, you would have to eat everything
something.
anyways. Yeah.
But I mean, he's not good. He's not good. And I was kind of excited. I mean, he was like, coming back to the fold. I remember him pitching pretty well before we traded him. He just got nothing. He like the other day, like that Friday night game, they're up 7-2, and it should be a night off for Koji.
Yep.
And then he comes in, loads him up, becomes a save situation. In comes Koji.
Yep.
He does what he does. He strikes out Iglesias, and then he gets Kinsler to line a shot off his forearm.
Do you think it was too premature to bring Koji in, though? It was still 7-2 at that point. They hadn't scored yet.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, if you hit a bases-clearing double at 7-5, the tying run comes up, then you're really screwed. So I understand it.
Like, I think it's kind of premature, but with Koji, it's like the deal is like once that guy starts warming up, he's coming in the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's kind of how they've been dealing with him the past couple of years.
Well, and that's closers, too. You're not going to get your closer up and down 3 times in a game. It's a one and done.
Right.
Take the shot there. Yeah.
But, yeah, I thought maybe it was, it would have been nice to have been able to give Koji a night off, especially where he's now hurt.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's not really Masterson's fault, but it's kind of Masterson's fault because you can't get 3 damn outs with a 5-run lead.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the CT scan he got in Detroit came back negative, no break, but he did go back today to Boston to have the Boston doctors check him out. So we'll see where that leads. Also on the MASH unit going on, Hanley obviously sat there with the left foot. Sandoval has jammed left thumb. He sat today.
Was it from playing video games?
I think it was from doing the Instagram on the toilet.
Was it at the salad bar? Well, he's not at the salad bar. Was it at like the the next bar from the salad bar, the fried stuff bar?
Yeah, it must have been. It must have.
We saw him there. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I'd probably eat the same restaurants. I mean, not really. Can't afford those. But and then also news on Clay Buchholz. He'll have a follow-up this week on Wednesday with Dr. James Andrews.
Cut him open.
So, I mean, if it comes to that, Farrell's still hopeful that after Wednesday's session with Andrews, he's going to give him the green light to start a throwing program. So
for what?
For what is right.
For what?
Because if he starts this throwing program and then, it's in 3 weeks and then he has to get to TJ, like, what's the sense? If you TJ'd him right away, we'd be 6-7 weeks ahead of the game.
Exactly. And this isn't like you don't want to just TJ a guy just to do it, but this time of year is a good time to have it because TJ, you're going to miss calendar year plus anyways. And as a starter, you're going to miss like 16 months, probably 18 months. Well, if you get it now and you miss the next 16 months, you're ready for opening day 2017.
Right.
You show up to spring training normal, and that's assuming a lot. And that's a long time, and you may never have to have Tommy John or flexor surgery or whatever it's going to be. But what's the point in trying to get on a throwing program right now? That's a guy you almost just say, you know what, relative to the year you've had, the year we've had, what's going on with your arm, I'm just going to shut you down anyways.
Yeah, right.
What do you bring up another young guy? Who else is down in AAA right now that you want to take a look at? Bring somebody else up when rosters expand. Do a 6-man rotation, whatever it needs to be. You're not playing for anything.
I mean, is there anybody left down there? I mean, we got like the Paw Sox rotation up here is now the Bo Sox rotation.
All of a sudden, Justin Masterson removed from waivers back in the rotation. No, I'm kidding.
Hell no.
But that's the strategy for the Red Sox and about 15 other teams moving forward. The second wild card's exciting because it gives those teams on the bubble, those Blue Jays until they went 12-1 in their last 13 or whatever, those White Sox who got hot at the right time, those teams think they're in the playoff race. The ones who are out like Boston, it's almost a benefit. You're not on that bubble, you're not lying to yourself on the bubble. Because you're out, let every young guy play. I would go as young as you possibly can. Bring Betts back when he can come back in another couple days or a week or whatever, and then play 8 young guys and Big Poppy.
Right.
Let young guys play, see what you have. This is Jackie Bradley time. This is Betts and Bogart's time. You're not auditioning them anymore, but this is time for them to get reps. And then for a guy like Buchholz, say you would be too valuable to us next year if you don't have the surgery, or the following year if you do. So we're going to shut you down. There's no, what are you trying to do? Win games right now? Yeah. You could lose every game the rest of the season, as crazy as it sounds. But if you were letting young guys play, if you're auditioning guys on the 40-man when they expand rosters in September, and if you were auditioning everybody for spring training in 2016 to figure out exactly what you have, that's a bigger win than winning games the rest of the way. I'm serious. You could end at 50. What are they, 50 and 62 right now? You could literally end at 50 and 112. And I know that's brutal.
This show would be unbearable.
But you lose 50 straight games. But am I wrong about that? Because down the line, and obviously you're not going to lose every game, but down the line, you'd much rather know what these young guys are capable of.
Yeah, it's good to get a look at the young guys. One thing is, and I'm not too clear on how this will work, but I wouldn't want to stop the clock on anybody earlier than
That's true,
we
but
would
with a
want.
lot of these guys, the only guys who would have been like Super 2 for me are somebody like Henry Owens, who's up now. He missed the Super 2 this year, but he's up already. So it's like, what are you going to do with a guy like that?
Yeah.
So pick maybe your couple best prospects and say, okay, we bring them up when rosters expand. But even then, that's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
You're almost there already. So take the young team now, see what you have in some of these young guys. Let Josh Rutledge play it out. See what a guy like that has in the middle infield. Nothing great, but at least you will know. I told you this last week.
I know.
I told you this last week.
I think I'm fine on Josh Rutledge. I think that, we don't really need to see him play to know that he's going to be an average fielding utility man who might knock one out of the park now and again.
What is he, won for his first 12 or something?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. He played today. Played a little second base today, but we'll see. But we're going to have Pedroia back. He's going to play.
When is he supposed? What day is he supposed to come back? Does he have any idea yet?
No.
Yeah.
He's like resuming some stuff this week or something, baseball activities. I forget what I read, but
It's a lost season for a lot of guys.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and I had big plans for him this year, but what are you going to do?
Hey, welcome to the other side. After those 3 World Series in 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
What's it like being back with the regular folk?
The Rockies put together 3 World Series in 10
Fit
years. I remember 07. I was at Game 1 and Game 2.
I'll tell you what. Feel free to put your stuff down, move around here in the losers pod.
Yeah.
Let us know what it feels like. Let us know if we can get you anything. Some humble pie, maybe.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with Buchholz because I think he is kind of on a club option for next year. So do you pick up a club option just to have a guy sit and mend?
How much is it for?
I think it's like 12 or 13 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
Or I mean, you could always see, the thing is with a lot of these guys when they get injured, and it depends on the specifics of these contracts. But if it's TJ, if it is Tommy John or something where he's going to miss a year, decline the club option, sign him at a cheaper deal, and keep rehabbing him.
Yeah.
And then hope that you can get him after next year. You can get him for relatively less money than 12 or 13 because he's been in the organization. He knows the organization. He rehabbed here. He's obviously comfortable here. And then you can sign him for 8 or 10 or whatever it is the following year and maybe take a flyer. That's a cheap starter for what Buchholz could give you healthy.
Yeah.
So
I'm all for that if that happens. It's just with, guys like Rick Porcello getting $22 million a year, I just wonder if that's even feasible. But, and speaking of options, Poppy's option kicked in after yesterday. It was for 425 plate appearances, and he gets kicked in for 11 mil next year, I believe. So, and that's a bargain. I know you're down on this guy, all right? But he's on his way to 30 bombs again this year, and probably knocking 85 to 90 to get that for an 11 million. That's a bargain, regardless of age.
Okay.
You don't want to do your weekly Poppy bash?
No, I mean it's not a bash. It's just we got to be realistic about when we move him out. But if we can agree as a society that he needs to be done in Boston after next year, the worst thing that's going to happen is he's going to hit 270 next year with another 30 bombs, and then everybody in Boston is going to get nostalgic and say sign Poppy again, and then you're going to sign him on a 1-year deal or a 1-year deal and option, and he's going to be 54 DHing, and he's going to hit 190, and he's going to be Mike Napoli Part 2. Oof. That's the risk. That's what you need to worry about. So I think next year is the victory lap, and then you kind of like go to him in private and say, are you retiring? Because if you're not, here's the deal.
But if he hits 265 next year with 30 bombs and 95 RBIs.
But I'm saying the following year. Then the following year, if he does that again next year, what do you do? Another 1-year deal, another option, another 1 year and an option. And then what happens if he hits 180? It's going to catch him.
Yeah, but you want to be in a situation where you may have to eat it for one bad year as opposed to giving him a 2-year deal.
I guess.
You just keep giving him the Tim Wakefield. He comes back and takes $5.5 million 1-year deal. That's what I'm hoping happens with Wright. He's just a knuckler and he gets into that thing, even though that drove Wakefield wild every friggin' time that happened.
Yeah.
But I just want to touch upon the guys the Sox did put on waivers this week. Napoli, he's obviously gone. Him and Cash. For Cash getting back or potentially a player to be named?
Nothing.
Pretty much nothing. Castillo put on there. He's starting to play better lately. Slightly surprising, but not at his number. $7 million, 72.5. I mean, 7 years, $72.5 million. They're going to just see what's out there if any bites. Jackie Bradley Jr., seeing if anybody wants a Gold Glove caliber center fielder that hits 190. Brock Holt, I was kind of surprised to put that on there.
No,
but
let me tell you why.
Yeah.
I think you put everybody on waivers this time of year. Because you're just seeing what people offer.
It's true.
You're seeing if somebody claims them and then says, hey, we have this guy. And if you've been scouting out XYZ for a long time in the Mariners organization, and they say, we'll take Brock Holt, we'll give you this guy. You say, wait a second. We love that guy. You know, whatever the thing is, I think you got to put anybody out there to see what they offer.
You really do, because I mean, you always have the option to pull them back.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you put. Honestly, I mean, this is crazy, but I think the Nationals would put Bryce Harper out there just to see, because you can always pull them back. You're not going to lose these guys,
Right.
But just to see what people are offering. If somebody blows your pants off, you say, hey, if we can get better by losing a superstar or a very good player, or a good young guy, if it makes us better. Why not? It's about wins. It ain't about loyalty to a guy.
Bryce Harper isn't out there.
He's not.
But if you are looking for bat and want to take a chance, Hanley Ramirez is out there.
A lot of those guys could be. A lot of these guys aren't announced. Yeah. Teams will put everybody on waivers and don't announce it. So everybody could be floating around on waivers right now.
I think that was the deal with Manny initially, way back when. And also, so Hanley's on there, and Breslow and Masterson DFA'd. Little surprised Alejandro Diaz wasn't on this list.
He could be privately, though.
Yeah.
You know, the list you have and the list of what's actually been put on waivers, teams will put, general managers will put their whole roster on waivers sometimes because what's the harm? You just want to see.
Right.
You know, so it'd be dumb. For a team going nowhere like Boston and a lot of other clubs, it'd be dumb not to.
Yep. We would be dumb. But hopefully we can, get something for him. So what do we got coming up this week? We got 2 at Miami, and then we're back home for 3 with...
It's the Yankees, right? Or am I crazy?
I think you might be crazy. I think it's...
It is 2 at Miami, though.
Yeah, it's 2 at Miami, and then I don't have it here. But anyways, it's 3 at home. I think it might be the Mets. No, we go to the Mets the following week after that. But... 5 games this week. Hopefully, we have a winning record, 3-2. Maybe we can steal 2 in Miami and have a winning road trip.
Miami's weird.
That'd be
luck.
fantastic.
Good
it is
luck.
weird. They have that weird monument in center field.
And the fish tanks behind the plate. You know those?
Yeah.
Miami's weird, man. Weird stuff happens in Miami. Just never. I stopped handicapping games in Miami forever ago because weird stuff happens. I'm telling you.
All right. Well, tell the people where they can find you.
Twitter, guys, you can tweet me at Bobby DeMuro.
Yes. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. Join us next week around 7:05 Eastern Time for another edition of Red Sox Wrap 360. Thanks a lot. Go Sox.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.